Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It is February 24th. I believe today is Wednesday. Yeah, it is Wednesday. It feels like Tuesday for some reason. I'm lost today somewhere, but that's probably dealing with our membership thing. A few of you have contacted me and couldn't get in. If for some reason you can't get in, we did do, just in case you didn't hear this message yesterday, we did an upgrade to the premium membership area on the website. So for whatever reason, it locked a few people out. Um, if you're one of those and you have problems getting in, just let me know. Send me an email with your username and your email address and that you used when you actually uh, joined the uh, premium section, because sometimes people use a different email for actually put it into their user account. So I actually need the email that you used when you purchased or purchased your membership, and I need your username. So if you give me those two things, if you're still locked out, we should about have it cleared up. There's a couple of stragglers that have still come in. If you're one of those that are just haven't used it in a day or a few days and you're just realizing you can't get in, that's probably why. So we did an upgrade, and it affected some certain accounts. So excuse me, I'm having a little problem with my throat today. Um, it's been cold and rainy again. Uh, I don't want what I had last time, so I don't think it's anything like that. But I just think it's allergies is what it is. I think so. So I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm gonna try to get through this pretty quickly today. Lots of trades. I backed out a little too quick. Hang on there. But you can see it was a really huge day. Uh, Big move down, and then another one of those great rallies today. So um, pretty nice trading day. But we got a two-tiered channel working down. I only have one of my. I really like using the shorter term ones in between. It's important to know where the bigger. But there's a midline in here too. You can see that right across there. I always tell people, make sure you put your lines on here. I'm guilty of not putting them on here, but I can look at them and see them almost instantly because I've been doing it a long time. I don't really have to put them on there, but until you get really skilled at it, it helps tremendously to put them on there. So, but you can see really from 7 o'clock to um, by 10 o'clock, man, there were so many trades. There's just lots of trades a day. So I'm going to move on through them pretty quickly since there's so many. But when I came in, the first trade I saw was this. Notice we had this resistance across here, and then we had that little break higher that failed and turned. Look how bearish that bar is. And we're looking for prices to go lower. And notice this little channel working up the correction. You get a break, a move to a new high right off that midline, and look at it go. So um, it ends up bouncing down here off the support, but you can't go long yet because this has been too big of a downtrend, and there's no break of this channel yet. So you need to just sit tight and continue to look for shorts. So, but that was a quick, easy scalp, and then you make a new low here, pull back first entry. You don't really tick higher there, but you get a second entry short because it's a higher low, and it's a nice bearish bar. Just go short again, and this one kind of bounces, so I like adding on here. And if you weren't in yet, you could jump in here. This one was a little bit, that's such a bearish bar. I would have liked it better if it would have broke below directly on this bar, but it didn't. It kind of tried to correct, but notice how it closed below that EMA and then turned down. That's a second entry short um, right there, and it's also a failed second entry long. Notice that new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it fails. So uh, it's a trap as well. You had to really kind of be paying attention to notice that failed second entry long. But that's a nice bearish bar. So I like that one. And this one breaks on through, comes back, and retests that support. It was tempting to go short right there, but you're right into that low, and it's kind of a double bottom, so you need to wait. You know, by being patient, you always usually get a better setup, and look what happens. You get this setup right here. But notice that we broke, notice we kind of got a range going here, and we break through loose. We come back. We test it twice, and again, like I said, it's tempting to go short right there, but you got to go short right until a double bottom, right at the very low of the day, and after a big move down. So that's really dangerous. It's not really a key entry point. So at this point, I'd say you want to skip that trade and wait on something better. And guess what? You bounce and you break back. So now you got a little tiny range. This is like a failed break higher, but look where it comes right off that trend line. You draw it off right off those first two swings, but you could draw this off the lows and drag it up. So you could have found it either way before we got to here, but that confirms that trend line. And this is what I really like about this trade. Look at that little bitty couple of, there's maybe 3 ticks in that bar. It broke higher and turned and went right out the other side. Don't wait on this bar. When it goes out one side and turns, that's a very low risk trade because it's right off the key entry point. It's a failed break higher. Lots of things going on here, but I like putting your stop right there below the little small bar. I mean, that's such a low risk. I mean, you can get in that with hardly any risk at all. If you waited on this one, or if your setup was a little bit different, I'm okay going short right there because of that key entry point. But hopefully you could get in before you hit this low, because it could touch there and bounce. You never know. It didn't in this case, but a lot of times it will. So, but nice setup there. And if you caught that trade, you got a runner running. You can pretty much ride this all the way down. This is a failed second entry long. Notice that new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and look at that failed move. It's also look at those matching highs. It's a failed break. It's almost a smaller pattern than this, just slightly smaller. So it's kind of a repeat pattern. Just go short right there. This one actually, let me move this out of the way. Didn't break below that one though, but you know, you would have already had your stop and it went real quick. So, and again, another nice little move down. This one's tempting, but it wasn't quite. And this is actually another repeat pattern here. Notice how it's all going sideways again, and you get that failed break. Because of that, you know, it's probably could be green, but we weren't quite back to the trend line, so I was a little bit leery of it. But you know, sometimes your trend line can be off just a hair or so, and we're really close there. So, and we did go lower, so it's a first entry, but it's a repeat pattern. You get 3, you got this one running here, then you got this one, then you got it again, and those are basically 3 little congestion areas, repeat patterns. And then of course you bounce. Now you're working up. You get your first break, move to a new high, and guess where it turns down? Another, basically, this is a little bigger. Originally I had this up here, so this is a little bigger range again, and you get that same pattern almost. So it's like a repeat pattern that just keeps occurring, and I love those kind of patterns because they do, you know, if it works once, it tends to work every time, and you see it turns out to be a good trade. And you ride that all the way down to the low. I'd try to exit right down here before you got to that. Or if I've got more than one runner, I'd exit half of them here and maybe save 1 or 2 just in case, but it does bounce. And now you got your break of the main channel, a move to a new low. So actually I missed this trade. Notice you back out first entry. You got a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. Another little bitty tiny bar, failed second entry long. Go short right there. Very low risk. And just right here, you push lower. I don't think you quite get a new low right there. And that's why I marked this one green, because it's a little risky going long there. But you got a double test of that. You got a range going here, and this kind of sets it on up. So if you want to be real aggressive, you could go long right there. But notice what happens. It works right back up to the highs, and gives you the setup all over again. It's a second entry short. Notice that new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. Just go short right there. And that thing's quick and easy. I thought we might go a little bit lower, but we made our new low now, and we rally out of there. But when it breaks below, you know it's probably going to pull back to the EMA and then go lower if it's going to. So I like going long right there, especially after that strong a move, because that's generally you're going to snap back pretty hard. Didn't expect it to do this, but it starts going higher, and now you got your new low in place. And look what happens. You make a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and look how bearish that is. It goes lower and turns. It goes right out the other side. Go long right there, and that's a nice move. And you could have gotten 3 or 4 or 5 points out of that. And then we just kind of start going sideways again. But notice you get your close outside, and then you make a little double top there. It didn't quite go higher, but look how bearish that is. I like that just to come back to the EMA. This line wasn't there at that time. This is part of the upper channel here from that. So that's what that line is. I drew it off that high right there. And you can see it fits perfect over here. But anyway, that wouldn't have been in place there. And then we just start working lower again. There's your first 2 swings pretty much. This really confirms that trend line, but it's not a very good setup. It's more sideways, so I didn't like it. And then you make a new low and you pull back and you get a break here and you're moving to a new low. You get a second entry short right here, but it's right into that support. So I think you need to, and it doesn't break higher. So I think you need to wait on something a little better than that. And then it does break higher here and gives you a big bearish bar. Then I liked it a lot better then. It's real close to being green. But we needed to try to make a new low. And if you could get in this one with enough room to get out before here, I'm okay with it being red. I really am. It's real borderline. I'm going to go ahead and change it back to green. I didn't think about it a whole lot at the time, but it is pretty aggressive. But that's a really nice bearish bar, and you are looking for a new low. So that pretty much gives you enough room to get out. And it was a quick, easy scalp, and then now notice what happens here. You make a new swing high, it's higher than that move. And this was a failed second entry long too, so it's a trap. Notice you're pulling back first entry, pull back second entry, it fails. So that was another reason I like that. But you make a new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and everything's still below the EMA, still closed. It looks like it's going to be a little breakout pullback short. It really is a breakout pullback short, second entry short. So I liked it. I think you were better off waiting on this one than taking this one. And at that point, you really think you're headed down here, but still a good move. Doesn't go exactly where I was expecting it to go. But notice this is a nice reversal pattern here. Notice how it bounces now, pushes right through the EMA, pulls back, tries to go higher, pulls back again, gives you a first entry short, goes a little bit higher, and notice how it's right into that previous support. Now it's acting as resistance, and then it pushes through that and pulls back and gives you a failed second entry short right there. Just go long right there. And that was probably definitely the trade of the morning, the late morning. But that's a nice reversal pattern. And the reason you were getting this congestion here is because it was hitting that resistance. But once it pushes through and pulls back and tests it, that's a breakout pullback long. There's a new low here, so pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It's a failed second entry short. There's just several. That pretty much sets you could get that trend line. That's another one is you can get off the first couple of bars there, and it confirms it here, and it comes back and look how everything's closing inside of it. That's a nice long, and you can ride this up. I mean, ride this all the way up into the close. You can see there, market closed on its high, that move. So those are the kind you really like. But that's a great move. Um, that's a nice reversal pattern. Notice how we're going higher. These are all first entries. I don't like any of them. This one's got too much congestion. Uh, this one's a first entry, not a very good signal bar, not a very good signal. But there is a second entry here, but it's right into that, basically the highs of that congestion. So again, it's risky. You don't want to go long right into that. It works this time, but next time it may not. And now you're working down. You get your close outside, but you got to let this trend play out here. And your key entry point's way back here somewhere. This is probably a little higher there. And so you're not looking for any longs yet. Even though that's right off the EMA, you got to have a second entry or some kind of trap. And instead, you get the trap to the long side. Notice this is that repeat pattern again, working down. We saw this all day long. Look at all those matching highs, that failed break higher, turn down, big bearish bar. Just go short there, and hopefully you get to ride this all the way down. And that's exactly where it goes to the other trend line, and it bounces. Again, it's too much congestion here. I don't like going long into that. You do get a close outside a new low, so you're expecting prices to bounce here. If it would have ticked back and then went out, or even ticked and closed on its high, this one does close on its high. So if you really want to be aggressive, you actually could enter here. Your stop has to go down here. So what you might do is let it break higher and drop a limit order in there. So I'm going to make that one green, because there's some reasons to like that trade. Mostly that it's the off the key entry point. But you have to be really paying attention, because you may not have had that yet. If you don't know, if you don't know how a lot of times these trend lines work down here. So you have to be paying attention. But this turns out to be a nice trade. Pulls back here, and this does come down and go back up and close almost on this very high. But I don't like that. That's a first entry. It does bounce off the EMA, and it is somewhat of a reversal pattern. But I just don't think it's worth taking. I think you want to wait for it to come back here, or you want to wait for another failure. You do get a failure here, but then you're going long right into that. You're going long right into that double top right there. So just sit tight, and then guess what? You get one working back, break. You tried to go lower twice here. I didn't like going long right there, even though there's a failed entry short. I didn't like going long right there, because now you're just going sideways and you're on both sides here. There's not much room there. But when it ticks back again and fails and doesn't quite get down there, you figure it's going to go a little higher this time, and and it's right at the key entry point, so you probably got people trapped now. So I like that one. It got just enough for scalp, and then it pulls back again. And look what happens. It breaks, it closes right there. I would have liked it better if it broke lower and turned up, but it didn't. It's just like an upside. It's like a down up bar inside. But that's pretty bullish. And it did break lower here. So if you want to be aggressive, I'm willing to give that one a green one, but it's definitely not blue, because you got to go long right into those highs. But because of the trap, usually it's going to go out the other side. It's going to have a little more momentum to it. Okay, sorry, I got distracted there a minute. But notice what happens. It pulls back. It gives you a first entry, pulls back, and it gives you a second entry, and everything's holding above that line. This is right at the key entry point. Take it. Nice second entry long, and at that point, you're looking for a minimum of a measured leg for there, and probably you're looking on a bigger picture for a measured leg. And look what it does. It goes exactly a measured and kind of finds resistance. That's because the smart traders start exiting there. They know they know about these measured moves and things. You do make a new low here. Notice what happens. You come back first entry, pull back second entry. It fails. Look at that nice little small low risk second entry long, failed second entry short. That's a trap. And look at it go again. This one's off the EMA too, or I'm sorry, not the EMA, the trend line, and we're not quite to the top, but you just don't want to go long right into that high. It would have worked, but again, just wait. And notice what happens if you wait. A few minutes later, you get a second entry long and a little better, decent bar there, and it's a quick, easy move. But notice even it doesn't go very far. And that got you into the 2 o'clock hour. That was really the last trade. There's a first entry, then pull back in the second entry. But that's, I wouldn't have had any problem going long right there uh, if it wasn't after 2 o'clock. But that's pretty much it. So it's just so many trades today. You can just see. I mean, we before 10 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 trades before 10 o'clock, and that's not counting the green ones. And then 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 trades today, and there's some more green ones in there. 20, 21, 22. Just all kind of trades today. So a really good day, and there were some really good moves, and you could catch some runners. Not all of them caught runners, but you only got to catch a few each day to really do well. So, but that's what I saw today, and I'm doing this early today. I've got a commitment tonight, so I wanted to do this a little early and get out of here early today. So I'm going to go ahead and upload it and get it up to you, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. Not much else we can add about today. Just think if there's anything else. I think that's going to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. And I hope you had a good trading day today. And if you didn't, study the chart. Somebody sent me, I'm going to read that real quick. I'm going to pause it here just a sec. Well, I can't find that email now, but anyway, a trader sent me an email this morning, and just the gist of it was basically that in the last couple of months, he'd started doing his chart study before he looked at mine, and then comparing what he saw to mine, and then studying mine versus his, and then studying his trades. And he said that since he started doing that, it was just amazing that how much his trading had improved. And that's what I try to tell people. And people, it's really, people tend to hear what they want to hear sometimes, and I know I say it a lot, but people don't always hear the message. And I had that conversation also about the key entry points. This trader said, another trader told me that, he said, I've heard you say it a million times. He said, but suddenly it registered with me about what you meant about the key entry points. And he said, suddenly my trading improved immensely. So, I say a lot of this stuff over and over, but if you're not really listening closely, or if you're trying to put your own spin sometimes on what I'm trying to say, it comes across a little bit differently. So just remember, try to have a blank mind when you listen to some of my rants that I call them, my soapbox rants that I like to call them, because really I throw a lot of nuggets out there that may not seem very important that can be the difference. And it's amazing how many times I have one of those rants that the light will suddenly go off with somebody because they actually heard something differently, or they listened to it a little differently, or it clicked, or the light went off, or however you want to describe it. And people suddenly change their trading. So just remember, key entry points, they're the critical pieces. If you just wait on those trades and skip all the rest, you're going to do a whole lot better, and you're going to get fooled a whole lot less. So remember that. And then the other thing is the study. You can watch me. You could sit here right beside me every day for months on end and get up and walk away. And there might have been a few things that I could have shown you, because I could have said, hey, watch this. This is what it might help a little bit. But in the end, you still got to get on your own and learn to trade. So that's why I don't believe in trading rooms. I don't believe in one-on-one training. You still got to take the journey and learn it on your own. That's the only way you're ever going to get there. So the way you do that, just remember this: study your chart closely every day. Just sim trade as much as you can, as long as you can every day. If that's 2 hours, do it 2 hours. If you can sit here for 4 or 5 hours, sit here for 4 or 5 hours. But at the end of the day, that's when your real work comes. Put your trades back on there, study them, figure out why the ones that worked. The ones that didn't work, you misread something, figure out how you misread it and study it. And if you do that every day, and then once you've done that, just start at the beginning of the day and move your chart over like so, and start doing it a few bars at a time, and watch the setups and see if you can see it. If you they have a replay. I've never used the replay, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. But NinjaTrader has it. There's some way to set it up where it collects the data and you can go back and replay it at the end of the day. That's the good thing about NinjaTrader is they've got videos on their website that show you how to do anything. So if you want to use replay, one guy wrote to me and said, "Hey, I only get to trade 2 hours a day, and it's like somewhere between, I want to say, 3 and 5 a.m. or it's before 6:30." And really, I wouldn't trade the ES before 6:30 Central Standard Time because there's not enough volume and it does crazy things. And the price action is still valid, so you might could sim trade it, but I wouldn't trade it live. I really wouldn't. And it's real slow, and you got to sit there and wait on moves and things like that. So use the replay. Wait till the end of the day when you can trade, or if it's in the middle of the day or whenever, and go back and replay it and trade it that way and get your experience. Just don't know where the market ended or what it did that day, because that's going to give you a bias and it's not going to be realistic. You need to be completely clueless as to what the market did before you do it, or you're wasting your time. So, but that's another thought. So, but you can see we closed on our high today and we're still marking higher. This was a really good move. So, all right, we got almost 30 minutes here. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to get out of here early. So we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you.